5 minutes in, so let's get started here. My name's Ben McKinney. I'm a software consultant with a company called Concord USA that does data consulting for enterprises. During the presentation, my friend Jendai is going to be doing some graphic illustrations, so definitely check out that as the talk goes along. Should add some interesting visuals. So today we're going to begin to equip you on a journey to create more and better ideas. But before I dive into the presentation, I'm going to ask for a show of hands for a few things. So let's start with how many of you would like to start a company of your own at some point or be part of a startup? That's what you're here for, so that should be everyone. All right, how many of you have tried starting something in the past or are currently part of a startup and just want to come up with more and better ideas? Right, about half of you. And then last thing, I kind of want to see which of you are more on the creative side, maybe a technical founder versus more on the marketing or sales side of things. We'll get technical people first, developers. All right, a lot. And then more on the entrepreneurial, CEO, sales, marketing. Cool, all right. That should give you an indicator of who might be a potential co-founder. Chat with people afterwards. All right. So since this is an unconference, we will make this a little bit interactive. So I'll talk for the first half of the time, and then the second half we're going to do kind of a creative brainstorming activity where we're going to try and think of ways to make minibar better. So we're going to let that percolate throughout the talk, but you will get Smarties if you come up with good ideas to make minibar better. So with that, let's dive in. During the course of this presentation, I'm going to answer three main questions. Why work on ideation? What's this model that we came up with for producing better ideas? And then how does it actually work in the real world and in our lives? And we will have questions at the end. You don't have to raise your hand. Just shout it out. So we'll have about 5 minutes for questions, and we'll also give you candy for that. So keep going. All right. So I first started working on ideation more systematically when I was part of a startup incubator program after college. And every Monday, I would meet with the CEO, and he would come up with a new business model or an emerging market that he thought had a lot of opportunity. And then by Friday, I would have to pitch him on some potential business models or business strategies or brands that we could come up with to enter that space. So I was always passionate about ideas and innovation up to that point, but that really forced me to come up with really good ideas in a short period of time and be more systematic about it. So I started researching what are the patterns of successful startups, and what are the industries that are emerging that have a lot of potential for growth. And one of the things that was really helpful in that research process was this company called Ideation, which is a really famous design company, most well known for coming up with the Apple mouse. But they have a brainstorming framework that they use for a lot of different projects where they'll start out with basically a whiteboard and a room of 3 to 7 people with diverse backgrounds. They'll think of a goal that they want to accomplish, like have a successful advertising campaign for a certain brand or something like that. They'll limit their ideas to some extent with scope, like whether you have $50,000 for the ad campaign, it needs to be completed in a week, what kind of people you have that can produce those good ideas. And then they'll start brainstorming. And often they'll start with aiming for 100 ideas in 5 minutes. So the goal is really to get tons of quantity out there, aim for crazy ideas that really don't make sense when you first look into them. And that actually is what helps start produce better ideas. So get tons of the ideas out there, don't focus on one thing too much, and then start digging deeper into that. So that's kind of, that was the basis of how I started working on my own model for brainstorming. So when I first gave this talk, a few people made the comment that, well, the problem in entrepreneurship is not that we don't have good ideas, but that people aren't taking action. And that's true. All of you should go and try and launch your first startup after this. But what I've found is that there's a lot of opportunity for better ideas. And if you come up with lots of ideas and lots of good ideas, then when you pick the one that you want to move ahead with and spend the next 100 hours a week for the next 10 years on, you'll be a lot more confident with it and be a lot more successful. So after you come up with lots of ideas in the next few months after this talk, then start working on vetting, ask VCs how to choose a good idea to move ahead with, and then maybe read Peter Thiel's book on 0 to 1, which is like getting your first product to market and getting someone to give you money for something. So I'd like to address a couple of misconceptions about ideas. I've heard a lot that ideas are like accidents, and it can really feel like that when it's so random. You're walking along, you're in the shower, and the great idea comes along. But what I've found is that there's a pattern to people that consistently produce good ideas. They have tons of industry knowledge. They have knowledge in diverse backgrounds. So if they're a developer, they don't know just about development, but they interface with sales and marketing and understand the new opportunities and developments in the tech world. So they also have an insatiable curiosity to learn about everything. And not just things in the business world and technology, but in really all areas of life. And they're always thinking about how to make everything better. Not just tech businesses or whatever software you're working on, but how to make a grilled cheese better, faster, shorter time, or whatever. The other part about that is ideas are not original. I know I posted in the bio that we're going to help you come up with original ideas, but that's actually not true. There's no such thing as an original idea. Everything is a remix. And that really clicked for me when I checked out this website, Everything is a Remix. There's a TED Talk on this too. He gives really good examples, mostly in media, of how every single idea is just an amalgamation of other ideas. All startups are really just Frankensteins, where they've stolen lots of good ideas from other people. So the model that I came up with is similar to the brainstorming model. You start with a goal. Think a little bit about the scope, what resources you have available to you to launch that startup. And then the really important part is the information. That's, you just need tons of data points to work off of, tons of good ideas from other areas to funnel that into the machine and produce lots of ideas. So what's the goal? I think Elon Musk is a really good example of this. Many of you may be familiar with him. He's probably considered the most successful entrepreneur, since he's created such great companies in lots of different areas. But he is a humanist, and he believes that it's the most important thing for humanity is to further the human race and make it more sustainable. So start with belief when you're thinking about ideas. If you aren't like 100% sure that that's going to change the world and bring meaning to your life, you're never going to be successful in it. And then the other part of that is focus on helping people. Startups are there to make people's lives better with products and services. So really focus on goals that will help people. Again, with scope. Now, Elon Musk, we see he used the resources available to him, business partners and knowledge about the tech industry, to first go into making tech startups. So he started a company called Zip2, which probably most of you are not familiar with. Once he gained a little bit of money from that, he was able to go bigger. He started a company called PayPal, using co-founders' knowledge from the finance industry, and really disrupted the banking industry, allowing financial transactions to be much easier between people. So when you're thinking about scope, look at the resources that you have available to you, how much time you can commit to this. If you don't have a large savings account, you probably only have 20, 30 hours a week to work on something on the side. And that might be the way to go. If you really want to just get your idea out there and are interested in making money, maybe you want to go open source, or maybe it should be more of a community-oriented thing. So think about what you want and the scope. Also, when you're thinking about scope, make sure that you don't limit your ideas too much, because we really do want to get tons of ideas out there. It's more part of the feedback loop between goals and information. So information, it's one of the most overlooked areas of ideation. people sit there and say, well, I can't come up with good ideas. Well, you need like 1 million data points. And what I've seen is that aspiring entrepreneurs don't look enough into all the different areas of information that you need to come up with good ideas. So you really want to understand the big picture here. And Elon Musk, again, did an amazing job of this when he decided to start Tesla. He read everything about electric cars and batteries. And then when he went into SpaceX to start a rocket company, he became a rocket scientist in a year. Now, most of us can't do that, but we also aren't aiming that high. So I'll touch on a few different areas of information to kick you off on your journey to come up with more and better ideas. But remember, this is not necessarily going to produce good ideas for you by the end of the talk, but in the next few months, as you continue to research and learn, you will start to come up with more good ideas. So trends are a really important thing for entrepreneurs to watch as you're coming up with ideas. And you can look at this at a high level with mega trends. Now, the 5 trends that you see up here on the board are actually what Elon Musk identified in college as the 5 main areas that are going to impact humanity in the near future. So the internet, he described it as humanity gaining a nervous system, sustainable energy. We can't rely on fossil fuels forever, so we need solar power, and we need more efficient use of that energy with electric cars. He wants the humanity to be a multiplanetary species, so he started SpaceX with the goal of launching to Mars. And then the 2 areas where he's not quite working in yet, but I'm sure he will at some point, are AI and genetics, which are really going to accelerate the human race. So along with those mega trends, I would recommend reading a book by John Naisbitt. It was written in 1987. It was a New York Times bestseller for 2 years and identified mega trends that were going to impact humanity. Along with those mega trends, make sure that you follow minor trends. Now, we know smartphones are a big thing, but we're kind of on the tail end of that. So if you're going to do something in the mobile industry, you need to find those niches where there's still opportunity. But there's also a lot of trends that are on the early phase, like drones. And if you get into that now, it's still relatively blue ocean. The market is growing quickly, and you can probably come up with really good concepts there. Another area of information that I see a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurs to learn about is business models. And you want to learn about business models not just in the marketplace that you're going into, but a whole diverse supply, even outside of tech, because you're going to steal the good ideas from those pieces to come together and create a good idea using concepts from other areas to add value to a new industry. So understand the freemium model, how apps make money, how people crowdsource information to add content and value to their startups. And learn the business model canvas. So as you produce more good ideas and narrow your list of good ideas, apply the business model canvas to it so that you have a better idea of which ideas are going to be successful and which you're most passionate about. Industry knowledge is one area where, out of the startup competitions that I've been to, this is a major lacking area. Even people that own successful development companies, they didn't really understand the industry or the competition that they were facing with the idea that they were coming into. So when you've picked a market or a sub-market, make sure that you know everything about that space, how the supply and demand works, and how people have cut up that market and targeted certain sects of people so that you can choose one that's not there already or do it better than someone that's already doing it. Marketing. I don't always use humor on Facebook, but when I do, it's fueled by lots of market research. Marketing, we kind of think about advertising a lot of times, but marketing for an entrepreneur is a lot more high level. It's more about finding your target market and really meeting their needs with product market fit. So you need to do a lot of research and from people that are going to give you negative feedback. Don't just ask your friends. And then the last area of information that we're going to touch on, now there's a lot of others. You need to learn about a wide variety of things, but people are, of course, where you're going to get a lot of great information because you just don't know what's the best thing out there, and people are experts in different domains. Minibar is a great place to ask questions to people about whatever industry you're in, what's the new innovations that are impacting the world around us. maybe some of you have heard the example of how in England coffee shops came up in, I want to say, like the 1500s, and up to that point everyone was drinking beer. And now we've added caffeine and put everyone together in a place where they can share ideas. And that's how the Age of Enlightenment started. So in the same way, we need to get together at conferences like this and share our ideas amongst each other. Along with the people just around us, it's really good to get in the habit of learning from innovators. So read books on Benjamin Franklin and Michelangelo. Understand how Elon Musk came up with those really good ideas that impacted humanity. So you've got the information, you've got the basic outline of how ideas are produced. Let's try and understand the brain a little bit. The brain is what produces the good ideas, and there are 3 main networks in the brain that work together to produce those good ideas. The Salience networks, which make connections, the executive network, which is for focus, and the default network, which is responsible for imagination. And contrary to popular belief, we actually use both the right and left side of our brain, both the creative side and the logical side, to produce these good ideas. So what I've noticed is that it's these facts plus imagination, seeing the future as a better place and imagining the startups that could be in that space, that will help you come up with good ideas. So just briefly, the Salience Network, which helps us connect these good ideas. I'm actually just going to read an excerpt from Scientific American, but the Salience Network constantly monitors both external events and the internal stream of consciousness, and flexibly passes the baton to whatever information is most salient or relevant to solving the task at hand. And then the second part, the executive network, that's what's responsible for that eureka moment, when you make the decision that you've come across a good idea, identified it, and it comes to the forefront of your imagination, and you can start building on that. And then the third part, and the most interesting part to me, is the imagination or default network, because we often discount the people that are daydreamers and creatives. But in reality, those people that are seeing the world, the future as a better place, are the ones that are really going to come up with the startups that are going to form that better future for people. So functionally, how do we apply all of this information? You need to have an insatiable curiosity for understanding and pursuing a lifelong practice of learning lots of different information from lots of different people. Learn to ask really good questions, and the only really good way to do this is to observe people that ask good questions and start copying them, and then get in the habit of asking lots of questions. And then get really good at Googling, because that's how we find information these days. And I think a lot of us here probably think that we're good at Googling, but statistically, even well-educated college students that have been using Google for a long time can't find basic information with Google searches. So do a Google search on how to Google better, and learn how to use a variety of keywords to find information. And don't give up on your first search. There's good information out there. You can find it. So all of you know, you got to solve problems as an entrepreneur, right? Well, that's true, but entrepreneurs will also tell you, if you're just looking to solve problems, you're actually going to miss out on some of the opportunities to add value where there may not really be a problem yet. I think a really good example of this is actually the development of the automobile. Horses worked great at the time. There was grass everywhere for them to feed on, and cars were extremely impractical. In some areas, you had to have someone with a flag walking in front of the car, warning people that it was coming, so the car could never go faster than a person could walk or jog. And you needed a mechanic to keep it running, a professional driver, so they were really more of a status symbol. And you had to, kind of like what Ideation said, see something that's really crazy now, but understand its future potential when it gets improved. So just like with Elon Musk, he made the electric car to begin with, and it was really just a status symbol for wealthy people, but now he's made an affordable car that hopefully all of us will eventually be able to use. So I will complete the first part of the presentation with an example. Hopefully all of you have heard of When I Work. I think it's going to be a company that really puts Minneapolis on the map. It's maybe going to be the next tech unicorn. But Chad Halverson, the CEO, is a really good example of how you can use this methodology to produce good startups. He first came up with the idea for When I Work, which is a tool used for scheduling hourly workers when he was working at a grocery store, I think in high school maybe. And he was frustrated that he had to go in on his days off and look at his schedule, and if it didn't work, maybe call a manager or come back on another day when he wasn't working to get that switched up. It took hours of time, was very impractical for everyone. So Mark Andreessen, maybe some of you have heard of him. He's one of the more famous venture capitalists. He's identified that entrepreneurs that fix problems that bother themselves are actually some of the most successful entrepreneurs and come up with the best ideas. So when Chad Halverson first tried this, he didn't have very much programming experience. And maybe the market wasn't ready for his first idea, but it flopped. And he didn't move ahead with it for a few years. And during college, he got much better at computer programming and understanding how the internet worked, and started a software consulting company where he produced products and helped clients with web marketing. So he learned a lot of information about how, basically the tools that you need to be the founder of a tech startup. And during that time, he also learned about a wide variety of domains. He helped numerous clients build products for a variety of purposes, learned how to take that to market, to really delight customers, because in the age of the internet, people have to love the product and share it and grow virally. You can't do the hard sales anymore. It just won't fly on the internet. So the second time around, with the skills and the information that he needed and the market knowledge, he was able to start this company When I Work, which was mobile-based, and I think has been growing 30 to 40% every month for maybe 3 to 5 years now, so on a pretty strong trajectory. So I hope you have a little bit of a better idea now about how to come up with good ideas, how to find really good information, how to maybe work together with a group to do brainstorming, but then also use this model on your own to have a whole lifestyle of coming up with better ideas. And for our brainstorming phase, where's Care? Care is going to throw Smarties to anyone that, well, actually, sorry, before we get into the brainstorming phase, I'll leave 5 minutes for questions. I tried to keep this pretty short, but maybe I've missed some stuff. So any questions on how you can implement this? Yeah.
So you mentioned some good resources and bookstores, things like that. Do you have any resources for business models, or if you have too many, then you list them on your
Yeah, for sure. I was actually thinking about doing a blog post on this, but venture capitalist websites actually are probably one of the most undermined resources for entrepreneurs. They have a lot of information on business models and how different business models are disrupting the space. So I would look at Andreessen Horowitz first. I think their blog is like A16Z or something like that. And they'll tell you about markets and business models and how to take an idea from 0 to 1. So that's a great space. Yes?
You say, okay, you need this big idea, you need money for investors.
Yeah.
How do you know about finding investors without having to
Investors, I would say they've most likely tried to create now I haven't talked too much with venture capitalists over the years, but my guess is that if they ever stole an idea from someone, the word would get out and people wouldn't want to work with them. So that's kind of like one of the biggest no-nos that they could do. In general, what I hear from successful entrepreneurs is it's better to get your idea out there, talk with friends, talk with anyone at Minibar. It's not so much about the seed of the idea initially, of course, but execution and finding the best way to have that idea fit your customers' needs. But great question. Yes?
Yeah, Ben, thanks. Great presentation. Thanks for mentioning IDEO. I guess it just wouldn't hurt to mention there are some techniques for what's called systematic innovation.
Yeah.
They're called TRIZ, T-R-I-Z. It's a Russian acronym. It means area of inventive problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
SIT, systematic inventive thinking,
Yeah.
lateral thinking, design patterns, morphological analysis. There's probably 8 or 10 techniques that are kind of interesting. Again, they're not the answer, but they're interesting tools to use for generating ideas and also narrowing too many ideas down into fewer ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. IDEO has some kind of university or blog where they give you a lot of tools to do better brainstorming and teach their own methodology. The founder of IDEO came from the Stanford Design School, which is most well known for coming up with a model for design thinking, which is very useful for entrepreneurship. So yes, great point, David. Yeah, Dale?
Are we sharing ideas? Is that what we're doing?
We'll let you share some ideas. Actually, yeah, if you can pitch it in 30 seconds or a minute, go for it.
I'm just going to share something. Okay, so but it's my secret, so it can't go
Outside of this room?
just between us.
Okay. Everyone promise not to get outside this room.
So this is something, I don't know if there's any product hunt people here, but this is something that we talked about here in the local product hunt community. And this was a way to apply the idea of simply improving something that's already there. It doesn't have to be, an original creation. It's improve something that was already there.
Yeah.
So this is something that we used in the app market, in which that growth is slowed down, so I feel safe in sharing that. But one thing is go to the app market, maybe look at apps in an area of interest that you might have, and then read the reviews of some of the apps that might be out there.
Yeah.
And there may be a product there already, but read the reviews to see what could they do better. And be the one to take that better mousetrap to the app store.
Yeah.
So read reviews, and if you're a product developer, maybe it's Amazon. Just go to places and read what other people are saying.
Yeah. Why go ask people when there's tons of comments out there already? And quick riff off of that point is a lot of times with trends, you don't want to be too early because then you have to work too hard to educate your customers. You want someone to get it out there, like MySpace, that's kind of sucks, and then come along with Facebook and create a product that actually meets people's needs a little bit better. So again, it's grabbing ideas from other spaces and making it better. Yep.
Yeah, so like going back to the first question with like the resources, I just wanted to share. I'm a technology coordinator with Central Library in St. Paul.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and so we have lots of classes and resources for entrepreneurs starting out. Classes are like free to attend, and we also have a makerspace with like 3D printing and laser engraving and all kinds of
Wow.
stuff like that. So you should come say hi, and I have more information about that. Just talk to me.
Awesome. Thank you. Great point. Other questions or comments? Yeah, go ahead.
So, Facebook is a good side about it.
Yeah.
We didn't try to Facebook because it's not connected to like it used to be. Basically, they're kind of do a virtual reality side of things, right? This is code connecting more, but I have an idea that's also pushing on system to website. But I mean, they have so much money, like you said, the timing would be smart to like just try to do it super hard now or kind of wait for them, let people understand it, and then implement the idea after they kind of go with it.
That's a great question. I think I might need to maybe chat with you about what the idea is to give better advice, but talking with another serial entrepreneur that really understands how to enter the marketplace and how those competitors work would also be great. But yeah, competing with Facebook is going to be hard, so just make sure that you have a good niche where you're adding value in a way that Facebook isn't, and that you don't have to I don't know, maybe have a Facebook account or whatever to be able to use it still. You know, it'd be a great idea in that space. All of the millennials kind of hate Facebook now, so it'd be really great to have like an app where you don't have to ever look at Facebook, but you still get the event invitations, because that's why we only keep it around. Yep.
They're back to liking it now.
Ah, crap.
I'm serious.
All right. Saw another hand over here. No? All right, cool. Well, we'll move into brainstorming phase. So I thought it would be really fun if we could think of ways to enhance Minibar. So it could be anything from leveraging the Mini-Star organization to make startups better, to putting pizzas on the table so we don't have to wait in line. You can just meet other people that like your Hawaiian pizzas and have something in common already. Or, yeah, go ahead. And Jende, do you want to come over here and scribe for this phase? So our goal is make Minibar better for us attendees, for the businesses involved, for sponsors, maybe for the people that are involved. Think a little bit about scope. It's a volunteer-run organization. They don't have a ton of money. And let's go ahead. Just shout it out. Let's try and get 100 ideas in the next 10 minutes.
Many ways.
Many ways.
Many ways. So like a little ways for like how to find the room.
Yes. Oh, man.
Like, you know, crowdsource the app. So like I'm trying to get to that. Edison, where the heck is that?
Yeah. Better signs.
There's clearly not a bar at mini bars, so that's what an issue.
Yeah, we need beers at lunch to keep the innovation going for the afternoon.
Let me hide sessions on the app so that I don't, like I can have just the maybe 3 that I'm thinking about, so that the day of I don't have as many options.
Do we maybe need another scribe too, or? No worries. All right.
So a lot of systematic innovation comes from taking the existing dimensions and then just varying one of those dimensions. So we're sort of, you're getting more interactive, but we're sort of in one-to-many mode here.
Yeah.
So what about many-to-many mode and getting better at doing some of that kind of format?
Okay.
Unlocking we all know so much, and how can we unlock and learn from each other better?
So
Not
maybe
that this
having
doesn't kind of
some
come
more
in-
discussion group settings.
Whatever it might be, or inquiry, or, you know, like for example, one thing you mentioned is connecting, you know, maybe product people with technical people, or that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Co-founder meet and greet.
And by the way, don't assume everybody falls into one of those, and I know you don't.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
talk about interdisciplinary, but there's a lot of people who are both,
Yep.
or not a lot, but some.
You're saying speed dating for developers and
Co-founders.
media people.
Yep. You like that one?
Make the maps and tech open source.
Okay.
At lunch, have tables that have specific topics, so if you're here by yourself or you want to like
Love
have
it.
a conversation, you can go find a table that's got that little flag on it.
Mm-hmm.
Emails and email information for a list of speakers.
Okay.
Because you can't all answer questions here.
Yep.
A lot of people, so this happened already kind of preset.
Yeah. Feel free to email me or tweet at me. I occasionally dabble in the Twitters. Go ahead.
Don't put crowdsource or conversational sessions in the theater.
Hmm.
Got a microphone that can easily be passed.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
Maybe add some labels to the sessions so that if I say I'm gonna look at all the like workshop sessions.
Workshops. Yeah. I was thinking that would be a great area where we could bring our laptops and actually create something. Yeah, Lisa.
BJ thing could be as simple as getting a sticker for.
Yeah. Co-founder interested. Yeah.
I want to offer open seats in my van when I buy my ticket, so if someone wants to carpool on the way over here.
Wow. Awesome. Great contribution to community.
Keep me logged in to the site so I don't have to log in.
Yeah. Maybe more mobile friendly.
Dropbox folder for all the presentations.
Yeah. Get them out there right away. Zach.
Create Slacks for each meeting, so after people can zoom in with everyone.
Yeah. Communication channels. Awesome. Yes.
One of the sponsors should probably have like reusable water bottles instead of plastic.
Ah, yes. Environmentally friendly things. You can riff off these ideas too.
To rip off his slack space, white space,
Hmm.
like, we're literally back to back. And there's no time to not just follow up, but it rips off another one to monetize. Like maybe I can exchange tokens or coins with somebody that I'm looking, you're seeking, virtual, real, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. David again.
You know, session descriptions, titles, and presenters are tremendous resources, and keep them indefinitely in history. I think they keep some history. I'm not sure they keep it all. Tremendous resource. I like to go back into history. There's all sorts of good stuff. We'll want to come back to this one years from now.
Mm-hmm. Someone over here?
Maybe a digital way to connect and network with people who are in a particular session that you have a conversation with. You know, we have business cards, you exchange business cards. Some people say they're passe, so do a digital version where I can just scan a badge or scan something and I go, oh, I got your LinkedIn connection or something.
Yeah.
Very quick.
Yeah, I think there's some apps for that, so maybe they should look into that. Mike? Sorry.
Some way to,
Yeah.
sorry. Some way to thank presenters for their time and effort to do this.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
Comments.
Yeah, I'd love feedback. If you had any ideas on enhancing the session, love your email. And then also, since we might not be able to get everything up here, let's just have everyone tweet at me with the ideas that you had, and then we'll have a text area where we can have Minibar actually look at it and maybe incorporate some of the things. Twitter or email, send them. Jordan.
I think like a more robust registration tool that you can tie into an app where you can do social sharing and live polling and sessions and those types of things creates more engagement.
Yeah.
And I work in the events industry, so that's, you know, I think that a lot of companies use that. And,
Cool.
The first part of your suggestion, I'm sorry.
like a more robust meetings application, like Crowd Compass is one of them.
Cool. Let's get some more. You in the back.
It's something for middle and high school teachers and their students to get an idea of how it is that the tech people in the tech sector kind of learn.
Okay.
The session polling situation was really, I don't even have a suggestion, but yeah, that was really bad.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what we're supposed to do right now, it's just a list. So something to do, figure out the session polling anymore.
Yeah. Maybe Facebook likes.
I do have a suggestion to that point. I was thinking the same thing. Maybe when you register right away, you know, they've got a list of topics and you have to choose a couple of ones that you would be interested in so they can a little bit better gauge
Yeah.
how much engagement there's going to be. That might be a way to deal with that.
Yeah, rather than unlimited likes, maybe
Yeah,
you can only attend 5, so you only get 5 votes.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Mike.
Maybe working sessions for throwing ideas out there for feedback for a group of, because you bring different people to different communities, and so you can help
Yeah.
out different ideas, and if you can create new companies, then the whole community gets better and bigger, and Twitch just gets bigger and better.
So like a startup brainstorming hour or something like that? Okay. David, I think was
It's
next.
easy to invite others when you register. You know, I know there's probably, like I can tweet it or I can send it to LinkedIn. But a lot of times your audience doesn't, you know, your network doesn't get every tweet. So how about the ability just to launch a few, quick emails? Go automatic.
Yeah. Email campaigns.
Two things. One, I think I remember like the date information being really hard to find on the website.
Yep.
Like, it wasn't like big bold up in the top corner, which I know space is limited, but might be helpful. I kind of had to dig for it. This is my first Minibar. The other thing is I wanted to say on the speed dating for entrepreneurship, I'm actually working on that right now.
Whoa.
As a side project.
Nice.
So if you're interested in that, I'll be out in the hall. You can come talk to me. I'd love to hear your ideas afterwards.
Hey, another idea there. I just met the guy who's doing Generator, which is like a new incubator program here in the cities, and maybe chat with him and see if he'll throw an event to have a co-founder mixer.
Cool.
Sure.
Yes.
Maybe like a whole new version of Minibar, but one geared towards bring your kids.
Huh. Family oriented. Cool. Yeah. More of a science fair kind of thing or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's
or-
a lot of topics that kids could be interested in. You don't see many kids being brought here, like the drone one. You know, I can imagine a lot of elementary, junior high kids being super excited for
Yeah.
something like that. So.
Kids giving presentations, maybe smaller 5 or 10-minute things. That'd be super fun. All right.
I was gonna say, I think that'd be a really cool idea. I have a friend who, her younger brother's a junior in high school right now, and he just created his own small app. It's really hard to describe, but you're a triangle, you go above the levels. You go inside, if you're a white triangle, you go inside the green triangle, and then you can only go through like certain other blocks. It's
A lot of fun.
really intense, but like that idea, getting like younger youth together to share their ideas, like the Scratch program that I talked to him with, he's 12 years old, doing things like that. It's really cool.
Cool.
Those ad hoc meetings that they kind of encourage to set up, whatever, sometimes that's almost too much of a blank canvas, I think, when you start. So maybe either providing an example or do something maybe on the website in advance, so you come thinking, oh, if I wanted to do an ad hoc, this is kind of what the structure might be, not
Yeah.
limiting it, but giving them something to like start with, to think about, oh, I have this idea and I would need a PM or I would need a developer. Talk through this.
Yeah, that's great. Maybe upvote some of the ad hoc sessions from the previous year and have a little iPad with some of them playing so you can go and get an idea.
As another activity that we could do would be combine the concepts of business case study competitions with the tech hackathons. and somehow partner a way to get those two together going.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I actually forgot to mention that, but going to mini demo and looking at the startups that are going there, understanding their marketplace, how they're approaching a problem, how they're going to make money, it's a great way of getting inspiration for your own.
For the new ad hoc sessions that happen throughout the day, you can have a notification sent out to everyone at the same time, right when the session ends, of the ones that were added in the last hour.
Yeah.
That are going to be in the next couple hours. Because if people are adding them to the board and having those little ad hoc sessions now, we don't know about them. unless they're
Yeah.
added to that board.
It sounds like there's maybe a little bit of an information communication problem here, and we need Slack channels with a primary Slack channel to give all this information and sub Slack channels for discussing some of the talks and stuff.
We have a blog for,
Do I?
we have a blog for Udon.
Yes, they're remaking the website, so I'm sure it's included in the next one if it's not in the current website.
In these idea sessions, how do you prevent yourself from trying to solve the problem before, I mean, are all these supposed to be solutions, or should they be fuzzier and less, okay, it's going to be Slack channel?
Yeah. I think it helps, and initially I was going to pick a few categories like media. I really think it'd be awesome if Mini Star was like the #1 media source for telling early adopters about startups in the Minnesota community. So we have like 50,000 people that are committed to helping startups grow. Like, that's kind of what it's set up for already. So yeah, how to get those ideas. I would say, yeah, just aim for a lot, aim for crazy, start categorizing them, and then get to evaluation once you have like a really big list to work with, and you can start looking at pros and cons of each. Yeah.
Easy to say as not an organizer of this, but this is my first one. I could see 2 of these a year, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be really fun. So maybe find a way to get more volunteers involved so they can do another one. I would love that. Yeah.
Even having just like a kids type session of what's going on right now while their parents or guardians can keep doing this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, like a side thing for the kids?
Yeah, so instead of not bringing them or having them just sit around in sessions they don't care about. I have a lot of middle school and high school friends that wanted to come to this, but
Yeah.
they couldn't.
Yeah, kids are super creative, and maybe some of you have seen that example of like creative or outside of the box problem solving where they put like 9 dots on a whiteboard and you're supposed to connect all the dots with 4 lines, and adults that have been indoctrinated in corporate culture and inside the box thinking put 3 lines around the outside and then 1 line through the middle, and are like, oh, it doesn't work. And kids come up with ideas like, oh, let's do long lines so you can connect those 3 dots and then the middle 3 dots and then the next 3 dots, or let's make 1 fat line to put through all of them and it's way more efficient. So yeah, I think kids have not been corrupted by the world and inside the box thinking, so we should really get them involved. Yeah. Okay. No stretching allowed. Just kidding.
I was thinking even like color-coded name tags, specific to like the industry you're in or the focus, if you're a developer, marketing, entrepreneur. That way you can kind of, it's easy that everybody has white in their names, but just so you can identify what field people come from or background.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Better name tags, more information on the name tags. Looking for co-founders and stuff. All right, we only have a couple minutes left, so I wanted to give Jendai a chance to talk a little bit about graphic recording. He does this kind of stuff for conferences. If you work for Best Buy or a startup or something, when you're doing a brainstorming session, he's a really helpful guy to have along to get the information out there. So give the floor to Jendai.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So my name is Jendai Berry. I work for a company called More Belief. How many guys have heard of graphic recording before? Quite a few. When I was doing research and trying to understand the industry, it's been around since like the 1990s. And it's not anything super awesome. I mean, it's illustration. We've all described, done it in our own spare time. But the importance of having it during a brainstorming conversation per se is that you can really begin to discover what you're not missing, what you could normally miss. I love to focus on metaphors. So as you can see, the ideation for entrepreneurs, I set up a little work to be done on it, but you're basically coming up with seeds, and you're trying to figure out what Ben is talking about is how to separate the bad seeds from the good seeds. And that framework of goal, scope, information can be sifted through quite easily. So you just have a lot of good ideas to plant, right? And so sometimes that's like the hardest thing is I have a great idea, I'm not quite sure if it's pliable. You end up wasting a lot of time just, hey, do you think this idea is good enough? You know, by applying the framework and doing the work at the beginning, you can kind of figure out what's going on. As he said, you know, most ideas aren't new. Well, if you were to try to create a new seed, this awesome seed that you can guarantee is going to grow into a brilliant plant, you have to understand that seed came from its parent seed, the idea. So the idea that this is a new idea, removing that fear of this is going to change the world, and you just say, you know what, this can change my world, you know, or this can change the 10 people next to me, will allow you to get through it faster. We make things way bigger than they have to be, right? So you can remove the fact that that's a new idea, and you can move to, okay, now I need to separate that good idea with the bad idea, sift it through this thing, and you get good ideas. So anyway.
Could you put your contact information up there?
Absolutely.
And then I think we're going to actually tape this up in one of the hallways so that you can take a closer look at it and have access to Jende's contact information. So thanks so much for doing graphic recording.
Yeah.
Thanks all of you for attending the talk. I had a blast. And please tweet more good ideas at me. I really do want to talk to the founders. So thank you.